definitely not doubling down on the durability, as well as all the way back when BTS Pro Series 9, WoW was the only team brave enough to run this disruptor as a 4 position when they wanted to. I think it's a comfort hero for Moose, not to mention that it forces this Kunkka to play differently. Anybody who is X'd and suddenly standing in a creep wave and thinking that they're going to get brought back, you can't really do that versus Glimpse. You always need to be scared of getting X'd, getting brought back again after you get hit up with that Thunderstrike with the Vision. It's something that is very scary and something that you no longer can play around. So we'll have to see if that actually comes into play here. It's probably the big reason why they go for it as opposed to some other heroes. But like you said, it's going to be a massive target in these lanes. He's going to be the one who's going to be played up on. And if you find him, if you catch him, then he most likely is just going to die, because unless you get that roar kind of in interim, there really isn't any save coming from any of these heroes. And of course, Medusa is going to try and be that wall, but at the same time, I've seen Medusa versus Kunkka play out where sometimes you're just getting kited. If this Kunkka especially can get the Waterworks build going, suddenly it gets very difficult to play, and absolutely love this pick. Perfect at kiting the Medusa, not to mention how good the ultimate is versus her. But you can also just walk away from the fight, and I think that is going to be the name of the game, and where this disruptor is going to need to be an absolute key factor. You need to keep these people in these fight, because if they start ignoring the Medusa, you've got a massive problem on your hands.
Yeah, Disruptor does have the means of canceling out the Darkseer. Anytime he tries to get away with that Surge, you can just kind of pull them right back in, but you have to be very much on top of things with your positioning and your timing. And then you also have to take into account, if you're playing the Darkseer on the Hokori side, could pick up something like the Aghanim Scepter. All of a sudden, you've got multiple Ion Shells, not just doing the damage, but buffing up the durability of these heroes as well, which is going to become important for a team trying to go up against that Medusa. If you can sort of tank that early damage that the Medusa can throw out against you, then her own durability becomes more and more questionable. So Corey really seeming like they got a little bit of everything out from that Darkseer. Maybe it's not quite as hard a hitting hero compared to someone like the Beastmaster, but it feels like they've got things set up here to take these longer engagements if they need to.
Yeah, and with the Invoker ban and the Viper ban, I'm really racking my brain here. If they're saying that this is going to be a Yuma Weaver, something that he is relatively known for, he's very comfortable on the hero. Only problem with Weaver, in the Weaver versus Medusa matchup, Weaver can never really fight the Medusa. Weaver has to come at her in waves. It's always poking and prodding, coming in, trading with her a little bit, maybe time-lapsing out, coming back, Shikuchiing. You never just have a straight-up 1v1 fight. Not to mention, if you ever clip by any of her allies' abilities, then the fight is more or less said and done. So I'm a little bit concerned if that's where Yuma is going to end up going here. At the same time, if Yuma ends up going on that Weaver, then I think their lanes get a little bit messier, especially if they're still looking for a mid laner. Where is this Kunkka actually going to end up going? Because if this Kunkka gets forced over to a support role, that big advantage that we always speak about in it versus the Beastmaster is suddenly gone. So the reason you pick this Kunkka starts to kind of slip through your fingers. So I'm a little bit concerned here that Hokori have maybe gone a little bit too smart for themselves, where Lava have a much more cut and dry, straightforward match to play.
Yeah, and of course, that is assuming that Lava's hunch here does pan out, and Hokori are looking to make that switch up. They could just keep it pretty simple. Keep it the way that we sort of thought that they would, with the Weaver in that supporting role, and roll with that, so to speak. But it does make you wonder. Lava, a lot of the times, you know, they don't just throw bans out there on a whim. They must have at least some sort of hunch as to what's going on, but we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, you do get Leo Style on a bit of an active hero with that Void Spirit pickup, so could be seeing him trying to be that agitator, get out there, make those plays, try and get some early kills to put Lava on top, just like they were in that game to win. But now, well, you're not 100% sure. Will it just be the straight-up Kunkka matchup, or do Hokori have something weird up their sleeves?
Yeah, in 9 seconds, I kind of hope it's something weird, because otherwise I'm a little bit concerned, especially with Leo Style on one of his most active heroes. And that's not weird, but I do like it. I do like that they finally got something that's going to be able to answer the Beastmaster split push a little bit. Guts will lock himself in on that Kunkka, which I absolutely love. I think when they pick the Void Spirit, they definitely push that Kunkka more into the conventional role. Kunkka versus Void Spirit is a very nice matchup for Kunkka. Even though you do have the physical block shield on the Void Spirit, you never really have enough to deal with the Tidebringer harass. And with this Terrorblade pickup, suddenly you've got someone to send down the lanes. You've got someone, not just an Ion Shell, to push out a lot of these creep waves, and you don't need to be concerned. You will, lose your illusions every once in a while to those glimpses to just instantly kill them, but you also have the advantage of that reflection versus the Medusa. So it will kind of be a race now, because if Medusa can ever get ahead of you, that's when it gets scary, where suddenly your buildings aren't as tanky as you, and Yuma definitely is going to need time on this Terrorblade, but you are starting to kind of game the Medusa here with the reflection, with the wall of replica. You're going to try to turn her into her own worst enemy, which is going to force Kotaro to go for some less good items just to make sure he isn't killing himself.
Right. That is going to be the name of the game. If you can alter that Medusa's path just that little bit, then that could be enough to win it for them. And as you said, you have wall illusions, you have the TB illusions being formed, and if you're the Medusa and your thought process is, I'll just do so much damage that I can out-damage these illusions of me, then Guts is going to be in there. We talked about the sort of boat play, the rum buff, sort of deferring some of that damage. You might just be able to sort of outlast your opponent, and that's not even taking into account the fact there is still a Weaver in this game. We haven't really seen too many Aghanim's purchases from those Weavers in the support position, because it's still a very expensive item, but it's something, if this game goes late, that could factor in and make it even harder for that Dusa lineup to punch through.
Yeah, and I think that's also where, with the road getting a little bit murky for the Medusa, if we do see anything, any great lane coming out from the Beastmaster, that's their easy path to victory. That's where Lava win the game in 22 minutes, is if Frank has a fantastic time. If he snowballs on this hero, then we could be seeing some very heavy problems coming in from Hokori, because aside from really Guts, they don't have the wave clear. They don't have the easy path, and that's why they went for the Kunkka, is to have anything. But if he ever gets slowed down, if he ever gets caught up, like I said, that's the way that Lava win this game in 22 minutes, is that there is a suddenly inner beasted Warpath the Medusa coming down on you, who's bloodlusted, pushing the tower 20 minutes into the game, followed up by all these creeps, and then suddenly you don't have a great answer, and Yuma's still farming.
Yeah, that's, again, kind of the trap they got caught in that game 2 loss. Yuma was not ready to go on that Morphling exactly when Lava were looking to make the push forward. This time around, that push is going to be led by what could be a very farmed and very angry Dusa. So, well, we'll see if Hokori can sort of hold that off, make sure they don't give up too much in the early stages here, and really give Yuma the space to operate. So, it's relatively straightforward in terms of the plan. It's much easier said than done, though. So, see how much pressure Lava can apply and whether Hokori can respond to it. And as you said, it does feel like, Frank, you're looking at heroes who can apply pressure. The Beastmaster just is 100% one of the people that you want there. As, well, Cat, gotta be a little bit careful here. Omar, ooh. Good idea. Didn't quite have the positioning. Tag team was activated, but he can't actually get in range in time. And Cat may not have been able to get himself a rune, but he at least walks away. So, even split, nobody down, not a lot of regen used, and tag team's not available for all of 5 seconds, which means Kotaro doesn't have to immediately deal with that aggression, but it is coming. Omar is not just going to let the Dusa sit back here, and between that and the Ion Shell, Medusa's got to watch the positioning a little bit. Can't take too much damage here early.
Yeah, and that's where, honestly, this is why they like this hero so much. One Thunderstrike out, Illusion's instantly dead. Yuma's gone for the Conjure Image just to kind of help him with the harass coming in from the Disruptor and the Boars, but at the same time, anytime he uses his meta, the lane just gets that much more difficult, and look at Moose just doing his thing. He's fighting a Weaver, by the way. This is no slouch in the hero. It's just Disruptor has always just been such an obnoxious hero to play against till the end of Dawn, and blocking all the camps still. Just no real support play he can do here, and Gartic might even have to eat his own salve, which is always a sad spot to be in when you've got a carry like the TB who just wants to do his own thing.
Yep. Salve has to be popped, so just winning that sort of early battle. Very nice job from Kim, and he's even going to get the pull. Yep. Side pull comes through. Although, that is a... Jesus, that is just a long stun from the Centaur, but the creeps are still going to get pulled away. We do have a pause coming out, though. From the Lava side, no DCs, and... Okay. Kim says they're good to go, so not sure what the issue was, but it's a relatively short one, and... What is going on elsewhere on the map here? Down in the bottom lane, Katyu trying to put a little bit of damage onto Vitali here. That's a level 1 ignite, so meh, but you just push Vitali away from the wave. It's going to be all about Kataro, excuse me, just farming as much as he can here. I really don't expect to see much of anything being forced out from the lava side. Maybe Vitali and Omar, if they catch Katyu that far out of position, can take advantage of the tag team, but that is assuming, first of all, that they get maybe another level or two, and second of all, that they can actually catch the Ogre that far out, because even if they do have him out of position, it's Ogre. It's a very tanky boy.
No, and that's also where there will be a moment. It's not going to be now. It's going to be in about 30, 40 seconds here where the creep wave is going to be closer towards the dire tier 1 when the wave pushes in inevitably by Kataro just being a Medusa laning. But at the same time, once they miss that moment, then there is no threat. Kataro has complete safety, but nice shard block.
Shards, but
But
Kataro's a little close. He can help. Yep. Yeah, as I said, tanky boy, he's just going to walk away. Kataro certainly had to come in to assist, but any other support, really. And I'm pretty damn sure that's a kill, but the Ogre's just too hard to bring down, and it didn't really even affect the equilibrium. Kataro was that close because that's where the creep wave was, so he doesn't really even sacrifice all that much in the way of farming opportunities.
Yep, and unfortunately, if they still have the resources, this is that timing I was talking about. This is where these heroes are actually kind of dislocated from where they need to be, but they unfortunately push at pretty much the worst possible time because there is a complete double wave just sitting there hitting them. That's why they have to bail out of the fight. The scope is just way too big with 5 or 6 creeps hitting them at 3 minutes into the game, and that's why it goes so poorly, and now they're on the complete back foot and they're unable to pressure the Medusa off of a wave that is really in no man's land. And oh yeah,
Gartic got dangerously low up top. He's lucky the Shikushi comes back up in time, but pressure really across the map right now. Those side lanes are getting a little tough. As Kataro, he's dropped low. He's able to pop the stick though. Vitali will be the one to go down, and now Omar may have enough damage to get Katyu, but yeah, not much more than that. It's actually the Ion Shell that gets it. So Vitali will pick up the kill, and Omar, I mean, he's faster than Kataro. Will this actually happen? Kataro's dropped low, and Omar? He's not going to use his own, okay.
He bought it. He bought out, used all of his gold. Really efficient from him, but still, even though you did lose the Medusa and Katyu, you've got a nice pretty wave here as soon as he comes back. And you even imagine Katyu tanking for his Dusa, just making sure Kataro gets all these last hits.
It's costing him a lot of his own health, though, but still got a salve, so he should be just fine. And yeah, Kataro going to be able to soak all that up. So it's an unfortunate sort of setback for your Medusa, but if you had to pick a time on a Medusa where you say, okay, you are going to die, that was the point that, as you were sort of saying, costs you the least, as Gartic picked off in the top lane again. Frank is able to get the kill this time, and well, actually, I said again, that was Gartic's first death. That's right. He made it out the first time around. Sorry, Gartic. Only his first death, but a nice pickoff for Lava, and this is the lane that we were talking about that might be an issue. If Frank is able to just sort of get himself going, find the kills, keep on picking up experience, which is now solo experience considering the fact that Kim has stepped out of lane, he is going to be in a perfect position to push the tempo exactly the way that Lava will want to.
Yeah, and it's not to say that Yuma isn't doing a good job. You look at his CS, and you can already see that contesting for these creeps has definitely been a struggle. A lot of those Thunder Strikes landing on heroes, not on ranged creeps, so there definitely has been a little bit of a fight for denies here. But at the same time, you're meant to lose. That's just how the hero works. It's unfortunate he did lose his courier, which had his Helm of Iron Will on it, so sucks a little bit. Doesn't mean he's going to get zoned pretty hard, but at the same time, once you get your Helm of the Dominator, you've gotten through the struggle. It's really just kind of roses at that point. You just get to do whatever you want. And again, it's how fast Frank can turn this top tier 1 into the mid tier 1 into the entirety of the dire jungle. That's really the game plan for him. And the faster he can do it, the easier it is for everyone else in this game. Not to mention, Leo Style's just been farming in the mid lane. He has really been biding his time, snags an arcane rune, so can only imagine that he's going to be the next one to get very aggressive in this game. Both mid laners can rotate extremely easily with how fast they push in the mid lane, and yep, there's the smoke.
Gartic, though, nice angle. Nice. He's going to pop that smoke. And now, well, if you're Leo Style, you're already here. You've made it more than halfway up to the top lane anyway, so he is just going to try and push forward. And Problem is, there really isn't a whole lot in the way of opportunities. Speaking of opportunities, though, down bot, look at this. Omar trying to get in with the snowball onto Cat U. There is a nice TP in, though, from Leo Style. It's not in time to save his teammate, and they need this kill. There we go. Taro gets the vision, gets the right click in, and Leo Style's TP. It gets them something, but considering they popped that smoke and forced his TP down bot, I think Hokori are going to be just fine with that ending in a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, and it has really, unfortunately, displaced a few of their heroes here. I think Leo's now waiting for a bottle refill right now. In the meantime, Guts just pushes in the wave, just gets to kind of do whatever he wants right now. Kim is kind of just hanging around, being a little bit scared to show, because he can definitely just straight up die to Kunkka. And knowing that the Void Spirit is now showing mid, he might have his TP coming up in a few seconds just because it was an Arcane Rune TP, but I think they make this play in the Dusa, thinking that the Void can't respond, and Kitaro, barely, he spilled his ulti.
He's taking a lot of damage. There's the ult. The ghost ship's flying through, though. That's going to tank through the rest of that shield. Torrent out as well. Kitaro can't get it. He will fall, and there was no TP forthcoming, no defense there. So Guts, big rotation. And now, well, they could look for this tower, but over on the other side of the map, there is a potential fight brewing. Those heroes who didn't TP bot are now rotating their way top. And Yuma, he is not in a great spot right now. He does not have a point up in the ult. Gonna get hit up by the roar. Leo Style jumps in with that Astral. And Yuma's gonna get traded out, carry for carry. And now it comes down to whether or not Hokori can actually get this tower. Between just Guts and Vitaly, I'm not 100% sure that they can, although the glyph actually was just used. So if no one else comes down here, we should be able to make this trade, and no one appears to be coming because all of Lava are hanging out top looking for either the tower or Gardic. Do they have the vision on him? Yes, they do. They're going to be able to pull him in. Gardic gets taken down. Now the tier 1 tower in the top lane should be taken as well, but over in the middle lane, Kitaro TP'd mid, trying to pick up a little bit of extra farm. Yuma, though, doesn't run all the way in. Tag team was running out. They didn't feel quite confident enough, but I mean, you see pretty much everybody up in the top lane. The Medusa wasn't really going to get a whole lot of immediate help, but not worth the risk.
Nope, definitely not worth the risk. And at the very least, and something we see a lot of times whenever the Medusa's tower dies as early as it does, you still have a lane to come to. Taking over the mid lane is just as nice as taking over the bot lane, and you get to, even more ideally, just come over to the triangle. A triangle that is incredibly stacked because Moose has made it his mission to keep Kitaro as happy as possible, and this large camp stack is going to be a very nice farm for him. Just accelerate him even further forward. Not to mention, he's got a Dragonlance in the Radiant Triangle, so farming that Ancient Camp isn't going to be that scary either. He's just able to right-click away from so far, so he's not going to be eating too much damage. And unfortunately, Hokori just don't know about it at all. There's not really been that same emphasis that we sometimes see from a lot of the supports playing versus the Radiant Triangle, just making that easy attempt. There is a sentry currently blocking the Ancient Camp, but there's still an Ancient Camp there. It hasn't been the most deafening and biggest denial. They are looking for plays mid, though, and Frank is here. Good pick.
It's the snowball. Kim, though, that's a very well-placed kinetic field. Guts did throw out the ult, though, and Frank didn't know. He actually sort of jumps back in. That will disrupt his rhythm. No roar coming out. His creeps may get picked off here as well. The Centaur's just going to run directly into the tower so that no hero can claim that bounty, but if you're Hokori, that's a very nice pick. The rest of those heroes didn't really matter. So long as you take Frank out of the equation, no one else is going to be able to follow up.
No, and that is incredible, and I feel like whenever we've seen this Beastmaster played, so many teams are so good at what you said, that rhythm, that it's just walking over I've seen so many Beastmasters die in this ramp here. It's just them walking in, thinking the jungle is there, just coming over towards that mid tower, and then they die here because everybody TPs in at this tier 2 and they're none the wiser. And I say that, they had this ward, they placed it with that same movement, so they really were just completely caught off guard.
Scenario where maybe they should have suspected that that was the play, but weren't quite able to respond in time. And I really do think it was Guts with that ghost ship play, because the Beastmaster did initially get out. Kim put down a very nice kinetic field that sort of broke up the initial fight, and then they get a little greedy. They think, okay, we can go back in. They don't know the Kunkka's there until it's far too late, and most times you feel like Frank sort of would play cautiously enough to get out of that, but perfect amount of sort of sneakiness from Hokori nets them a kill. It keeps their tier 1 tower alive as well, because with Frank dead, nobody else is going to be pushing down that tier 1, and now Cat U That's not a fun spot to be in. He has no force staff, nothing of the sort, so he's just going to have to try and buy time, really. Snowball's going to come in to stun him up, and he's not getting away. Guts finds the kill, and low value kill, I suppose, but if you're Hokori, you do have a vested interest in making sure that you retain control of this north side jungle. So getting the Ogre out of there certainly going to play a large role in that, as Vitaly got himself picked off down bot. They did have to drop down... he did have to drop down the wall, and it wasn't enough to save him. So not only do they lose the Darkseer, now a little bit of that teamfight strength has been taken away, and Lava are trying to take advantage of it. Look at them just push straight across the river at this point, hoping to catch out any sort of lingering heroes on the Hokori side.
Yeah, then immediately onto the mid tower. They know it's going to be a little bit of an ugly defense. I think they saw the metamorphosis as well, just timing out, so they know that Yuma is only going to be able to send illusions and not strong illusions at that. Don't think, yeah, Guts not going to follow up on that kill, even though Omar was in position if they really wanted to dive for it. But at the same time, 12 minutes into the game, they're finding some good chip on this mid tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, I think with the smoke up, they want to finally invade him. This is an Orchid. Vitaly rushed this item on Darkseer. This is really out of left field, but it's going to catch the Void Spirit off guard if they do actually find him kind of responding here. But this is a really interesting build-up from Vitaly, because he is not tanky. He is purely just a vacuum into an Orchid, into an Ion Shell, and that's really his contribution at this point.
Yeah, it's... well... I mean, it's interesting. It could work out. The Orchid, if it does connect, if you do catch the likes of that Void Spirit off guard, then I can see it working. But outside of that combo, as you said, then you get a little bit concerned as Gardic get himself picked off. But here comes the rest of Hokori. They're going to push in with the X into the Ghost Shift. Tim dropped low. Walrus Punch will finish him off. And now Omar, look at that. Going to use the Snowball to try and get away, but Katyu comes in, applying the stun. Leo Style wants the damage. The roar now comes from Frank. They're going to turn onto that Kunkka. He is pretty hard to bring down, though, but they are slowly but surely just cutting away at him. Guts will be finished off, and now that Tusk not getting out. The Yule Scepter throws him up in the air. Katyu has the follow-up stun once he lands, and Leo Style picks up the double. They're immediately onto the tier 1 with Kataro coming over. And it's just some fluid movement out from Lava. They respond well to the initial sort of jump in onto them. They turn it around pretty much perfectly. Disruptor for 3 and a tower.
It's an incredibly unfortunate cascade there, and now that's another kind of event where Kataro gets active. He gets involved, even fills up his ally's bottle there, and unfortunately for Hokori, the moment they struck, that was a 12-13 minute Orchid on the Darkseer that would have definitely caught off Leo Style, but finishes his Yule Scepter in the same amount of time. So that surprise factor isn't really there, and it's even the Darkseer that's getting played on right now.
Does he have the damage for this, though? Omar's coming over to try and help. Snowball's going to come through defensively, but he's pulling directly into reinforcements. The wall did get thrown down, but it's not enough to save Vitaly. They do at least get Leo Style, though, but now Omar, he's not getting away. He is going to be taken down here no matter what, so you get Leo Style. That has to be seen as a silver lining, especially considering that Snowball was pulling them to their own deaths, really, no matter what happened. So you come away with something, but it's still not a great trade-off. Lava continue to try and apply this pressure, and all the while, I mean, you check back in on the Medusa, still keeping pace, still ahead of that TB, which is really not a situation that Yuma can afford to be in for an extended stretch of time.
No, it's definitely a little bit concerning. I also just think they need to find a way to leverage the Kunkka a little bit more. They need to get him more involved. Whenever Guts is in these fights, it works. It feels like they have that advantage to work with. I think right now they're just catching their opponents a little bit too off guard. And Vitaly, yeah, you gotta run. But he TP'd up here, so he is completely locked out. And if they know he TP'd to this tier 2, this is going to be a sad death. He's got the tree cut, but they see him, they know, and he's gone.
Hawk Vision comes through. Vitaly's still trying to get away with the surge, but now he has run into a dead end, turns it around for the vacuum, and he was really forcing him to chase after. Oh, there's the glimpse, though. The chase will probably come to an end now as he gets pulled back in. Certainly bought a lot of time. Got to give him credit for that, but I think they knew that he had no TP available. They keep the chase going. They will find the kill. Now, what is going on over here? Gardic's trying to do a little bit of scouting, but he did get clipped by that scan. So Leo Style recognized that there's someone nearby. Kim even TP'd in just in case they could get the vision for a glimpse, but Not going to happen for them, but at this stage, if you're Lava, I don't really think you care too much about that. If you get Gardic, cool, but you had just found the pickoff onto Vitali in the top lane, and you are continuing to buy time for your cores, so you don't really need to worry too much about chasing after Weavers.
Nope, definitely not. And we'll have to see now because, well, Leos now, he's got a lot of farm. Is that a Boots of Travel flying out from? He's got some big item. Yeah, it is just the straight up bots. He is incredibly farmed on this Void Spirit, and it's just going to be more space. Someone to actually go to that bottom lane, something that Lava hasn't really had to fight or contend with, but that's where Yuma continuously sends his illusions, and he is very, very farmed, working towards a Scotty for himself, but that's also where now there's going to be an Aegis on Kitaro. They are playing their advantage. This is a very, very fast Roche, a very easy Roche for them to actually do. And this is also with the timing of the Helm of the Overlord. So you can only imagine this top tier 2 is going to be next. Full mid.
They go for it. There's going to be the Static Storm being thrown down. Omar's the only one stuck in it right now. He is dropped low, not finished off just yet, but Leo Style jumps in to finish that off. So Omar taken down. Roshan was finished. Kitaro grabs the Aegis and will regroup with his team. Now the question for Hokori is, can they get everybody else out of here? Vitali is on the run. He's going to surge himself out.
Ooh, very close.
He can reset, but ET, this is exactly the scenario we talked about Hokori needing to avoid, right? You've got Frank. He's kind of popped off 3, 1, and 5. As you said, Helm of the Overlord already picked up. You have a buffed up Medusa who has out-farmed your TB to this point, so now the push is going to come. This is around that sort of 18 to 20 minute span, and we have questions with regards to whether Hokori are ready to stand up to that. Is Yuma in a position to really hold out? And without the Scotty, the answer is definitely no.
Nobody is in a position to cut the creep wave, to be annoying, to do whatever he can for his team, and he's definitely much more set up in this game than he was in the Morph game. He's actually able to show his face this time around and not be under immediate threat of just getting picked off and picked apart, but at the same time, it's also a question of Lava. How efficient can you be? How much more can you get done? They're clipping the edges of the map right now, just killing these heroes that are trying to set up. I mean, look at Vitali. They're hard trying to play the edge here, just trying to stay on the outskirts, making sure that they don't get picked off. But, oh, if you get found out, oh, Vitali, he's playing a dangerous game. All it takes is just showing here and then a TP from Leo style, and then he is just dead. Yep.
And here comes the TP. Vitali not going to be able to surge away. Yules locks him down. There's the Remnant pull, and the kinetic field even being deployed as well. So Vitali, not a whole lot going. And you take a look at that Darkseer as well. We talked about that Orchid being picked up. He rushed for it. Orchid, Ring of Health, and Boots. Those are the items he had 7 or 8 minutes ago. The progression has come to a complete standstill, and you see him kind of free-falling. Far and away the lowest net worth core in the game, so the effectiveness of that Darkseer is starting to come into question. Now the choice to go for the Orchid is not looking fantastic either.
No, at the very least, Guts does have a BKB. He can be a little bit more of that frontline defense, doesn't need to worry necessarily about the Static Storm coming from the Disruptor, but you still have to be terrified of that Roar. If you do not cast your boat perfectly in the beginning of these fights, you could just immediately get roared, taken down by the Medusa, who is starting to do very, very real damage, only one component away from her Scotty, and that's a roar onto the Tusk. I think Omar might just get caught and cleaned up here. He's just looking for anywhere to find XP. Unfortunately, that's not going to be anywhere because he is just straight up dead.
Look at Kim. He was just backpedaling continuously. They know that they have that kill, but he does not want to take that Walrus Punch under any circumstances. So nice muscle memory trainings, perhaps, for the next fight. Is speaking of fights, Gardic get himself caught out. Leo Styles right on top of him. I don't think he has the damage to do this by himself, though, and yeah, Gardic should be able to walk away. Uh-oh. They don't have the Remnant, but they do have the Glimpse, so Gardic's TP is canceled, and now where does he go? Now it's basically just a foot race. He's going to time-lapse himself back, and
he's in the fountain.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Wait, what a window that is. Hold up.
Yeah, that was really weird. He, because he completed his TP,
Right.
then he got glimpsed, then he timed it to be back in the... Yeah, it works in
That is
mysterious
some
ways.
big brain stuff right there, if that was intentional.
Totally on purpose. Totally on purpose. Everybody on Lava was also doing a one-star. They're like, is he below? Is he above? Where was he 6 seconds ago? I don't even know. But Unfortunately, Leostar used both of his jumps, so that's why that's was an almost impossible kill. At the same time, though, they're taking so much real estate away from their opponents. They did smoke on Yuma Scotty, though. They are looking for anything here, and if they can find that backline, especially find Kim before the fight breaks out, this could get ugly real quick, but both teams are cutting in very deep here. They're ignoring creep waves, and okay, Guts is gonna lose about 700 or 800 HP here, and it needs a BKB.
He was
he
no, he was
can't.
hexed.
He pick-pulled.
Oh, he
no.
pick-pulled himself. Oh boy. I mean, I understand, right? With the extra move speed, you think you can get yourself up the ramp and you're going to be safe. He didn't think the disruptor was there though, but that's a disruptor with a maxed out blink or maxed out glimpse, excuse me, and the lens. So if he's on the same half of the map as you, basically, he can hit that glimpse, and now Omar might get caught out as well. He's going to get glimpsed back too. Kim may get punished for this. Walrus Punch comes through, so he is going to be dropped low, and Omar may be able to turn this into some sort of trade-off. That static didn't feel super necessary, but they'll get the kill. Leo Style finds the pickoff, and this is those smaller plays that are really going to just put more and more pressure on to Hokori. Guts thinks he's safe to pig pull. It costs him his life. You lose the Tusk. Your heroes are now staggered on their respawns, and the Medusa-shaped battering ram is coming right onto your high ground.
And hey, Omar got his blink, you know? Omar got his, man. At the same time, with the Aegis expiring, it's a little bit risky to stick around here, but the defense, for now, is working. I think, really, time for Lava to get set up. Look at that second Roche. There is one thing that they haven't been doing too well, and it's something that their lineup isn't great at, and that has been chasing down these Terrorblade illusions. Yuma has gotten away with murder here. They want an honest team fight. Okay. Vitali.
Double punch in, go ship in, drop down the wall. Kataro losing the shield, still trying to fight his way through this, but the mana, it's been depleted. His teammates are backing away from him. They're not able to immediately come in to help, and Kataro's just going to get taken down. They will lose the Dusa. Now the rest of the lineup has to get away. Leo Style, though, got caught by the X, pull it back in, trying to get out with the Dissimulate, but the silence now comes in onto him. If they can connect with this snowball, maybe they can get the kill as Omar punches Leo Style into space. They will find that pickup, and now they're just going to clean this up. Omar does get sacrificed on the back end, but they don't really care about that one. Omar served his purpose. They get the team fight win. Huge kills coming out, and now, well, now Yuma can do a pretty substantial amount of damage. They burn through the tier 1. Creep wave's coming up, so they should remove the backdoor protection on the tier 2, and Lava has no immediate response. You see this split push play from Frank trying to get himself up into the top lane, but it's not going to be enough to take down any sort of tier 3.
No, that was absolutely massive, and even more. The Disruptor, yeah, just gets a little bit too greedy, and that's the name of the game right now. Lava is getting very greedy, walking through these sight lines. They are just immediately getting spotted out and really just kind of getting cleaned up. Of course, post-meta, nobody's going to stick around on the Hokori side, but they take that engagement willingly. 4v5, there was no Static Storm, there was no Disruptor. He was still walking in from the mid-tower, just TPing in. And I think without Aegis, they really hit kind of a sore note there.
Big play from Leo Style to jump forward.
Yeah, he's dead.
That's a bit unfortunate. His death timer's not that long. 45 seconds. No creep wave is really an immediate position for Lava to push forward. So that is a death that, yeah, I mean, it sucks for the Darkseer, but it's not going to hurt you too significantly in terms of your position on the map right now. They were already falling back with the Dusa coming back up, and as you said, with that Metamorphosis on cooldown. So of all the deaths you could have given up there, that one's probably not going to hurt them quite as much, but Yuma's got to be kind of careful here. He's going to run straight into Kataro, and yeah, smart play. Just TP out. There is still 0 cancel from this Dusa. So get yourself out of there. You can't really afford to lose the TB right now. He is so much of your damage. If he's gone, there's just straight up no team fight ever.
Nope, definitely not. But of course, as we get into this kind of very tense part of the game, second Roche is the name, and really who's able to play it best. Yuma is so incredibly farmed out, picked up a Crystallis, so now he's going to be able to chunk through that Medusa even further. I think we're also looking at almost a full AC on the Kunkka, which is a monumental item for Guts. Once he has it, not only does he become more of a damage dealer, but also just helps out absolutely everyone. And okay, Omar.
Nice static,
nice
actually
static
clipping
storm.
the Kunkka as well. How much do they want to follow this up, though? A lot. They're going to roar their way in.
Oh.
They're looking for that Kunkka. Still no Ghost Ship coming out. No BKB popped either, so he is down. Hokori have to run, but Vitali glimpsed back into the fight. He still gets out of the static, though, so... Not the static, excuse me, the kinetic, but either way, Leo Style continues to give chase. Vitali dropping low. He'll drop the silence onto the Void Spirit, though, so he's got to be careful. He didn't want to immediately use that Yules. He will pop it now. And that should allow them to hold the line here. There's really not enough damage to kill Leo Style off. Frank picks up both of the kills. And, hey, Roche is back up. Perfect timing. So,
Yeah.
here comes Lava.
That's just a tragedy. And it's so peculiar that Guts does not pop his BKB there. At first I thought it was an Ag's Disruptor ulti. I thought there was no way he would just sit there and eat it, but he sits there the entire time. Again, this high ground vision, something that Lava is so deliberate and good at, is just getting this high ground ward up no matter the cost. They see him, they roar him from the low ground, completely none the wiser to it, and dies without casting anything. And then the heroes that don't have BKBs that are able to get cleaned up by the Disruptor, that's that pecking order that they need to accomplish. And Yuma, really, he wanted to fight for the Roche, clearly, but he is just forced to go for the split push instead. And what felt like a huge opportunity for them to fight back a little bit versus their opponents just completely turn on its head now as Katara's another Aegis.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, the thought process from Guts, you're thinking, okay, that static wasn't actually aimed for me, it just happened to hit me, and that is true. I'm fairly certain they didn't really have that full vision, and it's just sort of happenstance that it gets caught, but regardless of whether it was intentional or not, they still catch you once they recognize that they have you in the trap. They just go all in, so you want to save that BKB, but there's a difference between saving and just kind of waiting too long. But now if you're Hokori, you still have a chance to fight back. As long as Yuma is alive and breathing, you are going to have some sort of hope, but net worth deficit that was sitting in the hundreds previously between TB and Medusa is now measured in thousands, and Taro is dangerous. He's got the Silver Edge built up here, so that first hit, it's going to hit hard, and so far Hokori, when we talked about their lineup maybe being set up better for the longer term fights, that really has not been the case so far.
No, and more importantly, BKB. Oh, that's so fast to get out there on Leo. That's really good. Of course, if he even got X'd, he had the Yule Scepter, so he would have been able to kind of slip out regardless. But to mention that finally they're able to cut off these creep waves. So suddenly, the split push that Yuma has been doing more or less the entire game, the illusions are still trying to meet their waves. They're still trying to meet their match, but it's not getting nearly as far. They're able to kind of hold these areas now with this Aegis, and suddenly Yuma's items are going to drastically slow down. After this BKB, we're not going to see something for a very long time unless they take a successful fight, and they've got to. They've got to right now, especially if they can catch somebody towards the top lane. They know that they're a little bit split up right now, fixing their waves, but I think they're just a little bit too fast. They're way too aware, as Leo Star just regains kind of his composure and joins his team.
Also, they are not aware of this yet, but Kim has an axe, just picked it up, so now if you're trying to sort of hold off on that BKB, you're not even going to get the chance to pop it if you're caught in the storm. The Disruptor, I mean, at this point, how does he have this much farm? He's got 17 assists and 2 kills, that may be part of it, but he's like 2,000 net worth above even his own teammate in the Ogre, so he has been finding quite a bit of extra money for himself, and now he can put it to use because Lava are going to try to push the high ground. Age is still in hand for 2 minutes, so they see an opportunity. They're going to take it. Tier 3 tower already getting chipped away at, and it will be dropping. How much further do you want to go, though? Taro? Pushing his way forward. He's going to start on the ranged Rax, sort of daring someone to come after him. As the wall gets dropped, they're going to hit him up with that vacuum as well, but now Leo Style makes his move, jumping in onto the backline, but trying to get Yuma out of it first, as Yuma is dropped low. The roar preventing him from getting out the Sunder. Can he actually get it off in time? No, he can't. Yuma down for the count. No buyback available. Static Storm canceling out any of those item activations, and Hokori, they're just going to get run down. Guts will fall as well. Omar taken out. Gardic taken down, and it's just an absolute disaster. The buybacks, they're out, but they're not going to be sufficient. It's only the supports who had them. Lava, they've just broken this one open, and honestly, I say broken open, they may have just taken the game at this point. There's no reason to back off once they realize those buybacks don't exist on the cores.
Yeah, it's going to be 15 or 20 seconds on, at the very least, the TB's timer coming towards that top Rex, but I think with the way that all these tier 3s have been whittled down, it might just be Megas, and it's a heartbreaker because they, of course, bought out knowing that this fight was coming, but he didn't even use meta. There is a chance here for the TB to just run up meta, instantly try to take this fight, but I think more so likely it's just going to be the Mega Creeps, not even going to back out after because they didn't even lose Aegis, but that's a tragedy right there. And oh, tried for it, trying to make any space for the racks, but it's just nothing. And okay, here we go. This is the fight.
Punch into the vacuum. Roar, though, from Frank immediately shuts Vitali down, but Yuma is the one that they need to be worried about. He's holding the Sunder this time. BKB's starting to run a little low, though. He needs to go for the Sunder there. He is going to be able to get it, but he's still just taking too much damage. Kitaro, he does not care. Just continuing to lay the damage in. Yuma now gets hit by the glimpse. He is down for the count, and that really just has to be the end of it. Vitali's going to get taken down. Guts tries to throw the Ghost Ship in there, but it's really just him against the world. Gardic can't help him out. Gardic is actually going to die. And now if you're the Kunko, what can you do? You use the Ghost Ship, you use your BKB, you are now forced back into the fight, and there's the GG. Guts will call it quits. And Lava, well, back-to-back dominant showings from them after dropping the first game of this series. They're going to take it 2-1 and move on to the upper bracket final.
Oh man, it's just how many teams are we going to see just die one or two heroes in that top area, in that dire woods, or even near the Radiant tier 2 woods? Just, it feels like it's one or two just lapses in judgment whenever you've been behind for 20, 25 minutes in a game where only one thing is going right, and then you lose your big opportunity. I think if those 4 heroes don't die in the jungle in the fashion that they died, then we get to see a defense. We get to see a fight over that second Roche. We don't see nearly as kind of a free plan and a free event plan out for Lava, but instead that happens. You get an Aegis on Kitaro. We're talking about how close and how kind of perfectly Yuma got perma-stunned on his own high ground, but that push doesn't happen if Kitaro doesn't have an Aegis, and unfortunately it just is that same unfortunate cascade that so many teams kind of fall into. It's really sad because it really did feel like they had that moment, especially after the first Aegis had timed out, where we can kill Medusa, we can fight her, we can kill everyone else as well, we just need to get the opportunity. I think on only that one fight we ever got to see Yuma actually go at maximum capacity.
Yeah, and it was impressive when it happened, but without the full teamfight combo coming out from the likes of Guts and Vitali to sort of back it up, they didn't feel comfortable pushing all the way in, and by the time that the fight does happen, it's because they're forced into it, and, well, it doesn't go well for them. But you look at the Lava side of things, I mean, point out the weak link to me, right? These stat lines, 22 assists for Kim, Leo style double digits, you have 8, 5, and 18 on Katyu, so the cores that we knew they would need to rely on, the likes of the Beastmaster and the Dusa, obviously they show up, but the rest of the lineup exceeding expectations as well. That's a large part of the reason why Hokori were backpedaling so quickly and so early.
Yeah, and really, every single time, even all the way back to that 2-base versus Arakash series, this Disruptor hero is so good. It's so fine, especially when you can play from just a little bit ahead. It nets you so many kills that are just impossible under any other circumstance, but you just keep them kind of funneling into you, just picking them apart, and that's exactly what happened here. And also, it's just, I think, one of his favorite heroes, so letting him have it, it's just a dangerous thing. And like you said, Hokori, they don't like banning supports, but maybe you try to make an exception here.
Yeah, mentioned they ban IO and pretty much no other supports. That may have to change. Didn't really do them too many favors in the DPC, and unfortunately, it's a bit of an Achilles heel for them in this event as well. But the good news for Hokori is that there is a lower bracket. They're not eliminated today. They are going to be dropping down there to play up against Infinity, whereas Lava go to the upper bracket final. They'll play King of Kings for that first South American slot in Phase 2. So with that in mind, congratulations to Lava. They are moving on, and that is going to do it for our second series of the day. 2 best of 3s in the books here, and well, some pretty impressive stuff across the board. The game's certainly exciting. I do believe for tomorrow we're going to be moving back over to that NA side, although unfortunately from our perspective, ET and I are not going to be the ones who will be bringing you those games. We're handing off the mic. I want to say it's our Cryptic and Neff. I do not actually know about that, so don't quote me, but it's not going to be ET and I. We're going to be taking a break. We'll be back for that Phase 2 group stage. So, ET, this is the last time we're going to be able to see the nice folks for a little while here. Any parting words for them before we hop out?
Just keep tuning in. Just keep on looking at it. I think that this tournament, it's got some good blood. It's got some actual games to be played. Not to mention, we're gonna see Quincy for the first time, especially once that phase 2 starts. Always exciting to see them play. But back to phase 1, with the way it's split up versus kind of NA versus SA here, it's always fun to see kind of the regions play out, especially when it's all kind of those inner battles. So just keep on tuning in, see who actually qualifies. I'm sure tomorrow as well, those lower bracket games in the phase 1 are going to be very exciting with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, some high stakes stuff coming up again. You will have a different casting duo for that, but that's not going to take away from the stakes. If anything, they're going to be able to hype it up even further. So with that in mind, we will be saying goodbye for now. ET and I are going away, but the Dota does continue tomorrow, starting at the same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time, as they shift it back over to North. So in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the cast from ET and I, and we will see you next time on Beyond the Summit. Take care.